We have customers who conceive us like ChatGPT alternative, and then you're just sitting there, just a small team, Bootstrap. We're just thinking, how do we even compete here? How do we still stay relevant to the market that is all the time changing? And basically, cloud code can do everything. And what's the point of SaaS even, And you're just questioning all the time if what we're doing is even relevant to anyone.
Welcome to SaaS That App, building B2B web applications, the podcast where we share real-world stories, practical advice, and tech insights for those building or thinking about starting a tech-enabled business. I am your co-host, Aaron Marchbanks.
And I'm Justin Edwards. Each week we bring you the stories, strategies, and insights you need to build your SaaS or tech-enabled business smarter, not harder. Let's dive right in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to SaaS That App. So glad to see you all again. And across the mic from me, as always, is Justin. And this is like ships passing in the night. I think Justin and I have talked like once this week because the calendar has not supported any other time. How's your calendar looking today, man?
I don't want to talk about that, but I do miss you. I work with you all day, every day, and I haven't actually got a chance to talk to you. So it's nice to see you. I'm glad you're doing well.
Yeah, you too.
I got a new shirt. I don't think I've worn this one on the podcast before.
No, it's nice.
I reached deep into the car. It doesn't really fit particularly well, but it's new, so I put it on.
We keep it interesting that way.
The problem with hand-me-down clothes, right?
Yes. And I think many episodes back, you had asked me about the bow tie rotation, and I have failed to keep cataloging that. So I feel like there's effort to be made in tick marks for bow tie use and which one. So I'm going to have to go back and review, see how far off cycle I am.
We're going to get you on a bow tie performance improvement plan, my friend.
I would appreciate that. That's the only way it's going to change.
Before our listeners put us on a performance improvement plan, you got to intro our guest.
Oh, yes.
We do have a guest today.
We do have a guest today. We don't get to just chit chat. Well, we are excited today and are joined by Agnese Jaunošāne, and she is the co-founder and COO of Ajelix, which is an AI platform helping businesses turn spreadsheet data into actionable insights. Before launching Ajelix, she built her career at Accenture and Printful, and today, Ajelix serves more than 340,000 users worldwide. It's probably more than that now. And all of those have been grown organically without outside funding or paid advertising. And we're going to get into the interesting bits that made that possible. Agnese, thank you so much and welcome to the pod.
Hi, hello. Thank you for inviting me.
So just to kind of kick things off and set the stage for everyone. So you are obviously now co-founder and you have been working at Ajelix for quite a while, but in the past, you also worked at Accenture, you worked at Printful before starting that. So I'm just curious, looking back at the broad spectrum of where you started and where you are now, what kind of experiences have you had from those past companies that help shape the founder that you have become?
Well, I would say that Printful is one of my most favorite parts if we look back, because Printful, as you know, is like Latvia's first unicorn. So at that time when I joined Printful, it was like booming because it was e-commerce. It was during the time of COVID and everyone was just sitting home and ordering stuff online. And so Printful was just growing incredibly fast. And I actually worked there for a couple of years. So there I actually firstly saw like how a startup works and what is startup, because from where I come from, startups isn't like a standard company that are typically launched or built in like cities. We are pretty slow with adapting like technologies and actually like launching these types of businesses. So when I joined Printful, it was like a breath of fresh air that you can build a company differently, that you can serve your customers in the USA, but you can be based over the globe somewhere else. And so actually that really shaped my point of view and what I want to do further in the future, because I have always knew that I want to be an entrepreneur, launch my own company, launch my own thing, but Printful gave me the shape in what is relevant actually in the world and how things can be do like differently.
Yeah. Was there like a specific moment then prior to Ajelix where you just kind of realized it's like, you know what, I've gotten everything that I need. I now want to, build instead of advise. I want to make that next step.
Yeah, no, actually, I didn't have anything I needed at that point. I just, I spent my time in Printful. I was like, okay, so I think I have grown at the past where I feel comfortable, but I need to move on. I need to grow even further. And then I just dropped Printful And then I was sitting in home for a couple of months trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my life further. And then, I met my co-founder, the CDO of Ajelix, and we were just thinking about, he wanted to start a SaaS and I had nothing else to do. And I thought I want a startup. And then we were just talking. He had the domain expertise in the field. He knew the problem. And then we were like speaking and how do we align together as a team? And we figured that we are quite a good match. And I wouldn't say that I was ready at some point, that, I'm ready to do this, because I think in entrepreneurship, you're never ready. But you still have to do all those things, learn everything despite of the odds. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's always nice when you got like a technical co-founder or someone with a lot of like industry knowledge or things like that to pair up with the business acumen and things like that. Those tend to be the more successful ones that we've seen and certainly have had on the show. So you had mentioned it, but I'm curious. So what was the actual problem that needed to be solved for this business to exist? What drew you there?
Yeah, so my co-founder has over 10 years of experience in spreadsheet, in Excel and Google Sheet automation. And he was just working with Google Sheets files, with automation, with Excel formulas like every day, a lot of hours in there. And so he knew that people struggle with these things. And actually, our initial idea was that we need to solve the problem that people don't know how to write Excel formulas. And they hate spreadsheets. They don't know pivot tables. They don't know how to format these spreadsheets. And so we solved this problem with the AI because, it made sense at that point.
Yeah, spreadsheets have a very special place in my heart. I happen to be one of those weird guys who loves spreadsheets. And I love spreadsheets. I love working in Excel. I used to be a corporate trainer for Microsoft, and I taught people on Excel, and I really, really enjoyed that. But at the same time, I saw all the people that you're talking about who had no idea how to use them properly or well, didn't really want to. They just needed a way to be able to get information out of it without having to sit there and figure out, do I need to do an H lookup here or a V lookup, or like you said, with a pivot table or something like that. So it's definitely a good problem to solve, which is fantastic.
Yeah, and we're not going away from spreadsheets. Everyone in the world uses spreadsheets, like from enterprise to small businesses. Like there's no exit from it.
Yeah, Aaron is our resident freak in the sheets here at Delta. So cool. I know that your launch actually predates ChatGPT coming ubiquitous and all that. Can you talk a little bit about how your platform and products has changed pre and then post like AI revolution? Because it seems like you've been around kind of through that.
Yeah, so we launched, I think, 2 months before ChatGPT. Basically, our first tools were like simple, like 10 AI tools, like you insert a prompt and you get an output. It was super, super basic, but people loved it. And when we started, we were one of the first ones that solved Excel problems with AI. So at that point, there was no like, AI tools. If you remember, there was like this huge trend where influencers were talking about AI tools you have to know or illegal to know, It was pre that era. And we were one of the first ones that like created these kind of tools specifically for Excel. And if you would search on Google, then we were on the first position. And when all of this became super viral, people were just started to search for Excel AI related terms. And we were just showed up in the first position because we were the first ones. And so pre-ChatGPT, so basically ChatGPT actually also powered our growth because of this huge AI trend that was coming. And then influencers started talking about us. They shared posts on socials, on everywhere for free because there were like no other alternatives in this specific niche. And then, of course, during the years, we had to adapt a lot because the technology is developing and we have to develop it further with it. And so it is quite challenging. It still is because we're competing, like, unfortunately, with ChatGPT, like we have customers who conceive us like ChatGPT alternative. And then you're just sitting there, just a small team, Bootstrap. And we're just thinking, how do we even compete here? How do we still stay relevant to the market that is all the time changing? And basically, cloud code can do everything. And what's the point of SaaS even, And you're just questioning all the time if what we're doing is even relevant to anyone. So quite a journey during these 3 years.
No doubt. Did you find that as that was happening and as that was evolving, that your customers, the ones that you even already had, were becoming confused or bringing on new customers? Were they confused and always asking like, oh, are you just using ChatGPT in a wrapper or something like that? Or was it something where you already had kind of a good spiel, you had something to talk about that could just kind of cut right through that? No, we are not this, it's this.
At first, no one cared about that because AI wasn't that common, in tools then. But after years, we were starting to think that, hey, what we are going to be just an AI wrapper and just pay, OpenAI for the resources. And we were all the time doubting how could we be different? How could we deliver more value instead of just being an OpenAI wrapper? And of course, there was a lot of confusion from the customers because we started as spreadsheet tools and now we have developed, and right now we're also building this enterprise platform and like buying our own hardware to run models. And then customers come and are you like the AI Excel spreadsheet tools or are you delivering enterprise, whatever platform? So there's a lot of confusion and we have to work a lot with what is said on the internet itself. Because there are a lot of information that we're like, this and that, and our pricing starts as $5. And then customers come there and they're asking like, I saw the subscription was $5. Where is it? I'm like, I'm sorry, times are changing,
Real quick, this episode is brought to you by Delta Systems, which is what Aaron and I do when we're not talking through microphones to you, the people of the internet. We've got a really, really great software team here, and we love to work with cool people on cool projects. So if that sounds like you and you've got a problem or you're in some kind of a jam, go to deltasystems.com, grab a time with us. We can beat up on your problem together, and if there's a fit there, amazing, we'll help you out. So deltasystems.com, grab an appointment, and hey, maybe we can work together.
So how is it then that you decide, since you are now leveraging AI outside of yourselves quite a lot to, roll out new features and new capabilities and stuff, how do you go about deciding what to use for creating, good value for the customers versus just something that makes a good demo?
Do you mean like technology-wise or?
Yeah. So what helps to kind of delineate you in that marketplace? How do you keep and or win over people who are just simply using like ChatGPT or Claude or something like that and bring them over to your product and say, we are better in these ways? How is it that you continue to create that customer value in this world of AI now?
Well, we're watching market a lot. We're speaking with a lot of companies and businesses. And actually, we have kind of pivoted just a little bit away from the USA market because it's hard to compete with these like tools. And when people come here and they ask like, how is Ajelix different than ChatGPT, or why should I use you? And I'm like, sometimes I don't even have an answer for that. It's true because they have so many resources and we just can't compete with that. And it's normal. And right now we're really focusing on the European market because of the data concerns, because of the political changes, geopolitical changes. And we're seeing that in Europe, there is like no solid alternative for European businesses, for the government institutions, and for enterprises. And so, we're just watching a lot of market signals and trying to understand where Ajelix is going to be after 5 years and how we will still stay relevant because we can't compete with these multi-million-dollar organizations. So the tools would be speaking with our customers, watching the signals, reading the news, panicking, a lot of panicking involved while reading the news. But that's the way that we're managing right now.
So do you find that maybe your target audience or your customer base, are they moving from just like a consumer type audience to more enterprise level customers? Or are you seeing still like a decent mix of that? Just looking for where that B2B and B2C maybe starts to have some cracks and you start moving up a little further?
Yeah, throughout the years, mostly we started, of course, as a B2C tool. And then we started to get a B2B customers, a lot of large enterprises from the USA, from Europe, that were interested in our tool. And right now we're mixing. We have this self-service portal. We have the marketing bill, the socials, the everything. It's all in the place. But meanwhile, we're working on sales, on one-to-one sales, and we're talking with the leads. And we're doing this like additionally to the funnel that we have already built during those years. So
yeah, that makes sense.
I wanted to ask quickly, I noticed it says several places in your online presence, the word Bootstrap pops up all over the place. So can you tell me a little bit about being proudly bootstrapped and why you haven't taken on outside money and why you made that decision?
Yeah, well, that's our way of living, I would say, because when we launched Ajelix, we were just speaking with the co-founder, we were discussing what should Ajelix be in the 10 years, what is the vision, what's the mission, what's the structure. And we just decided right there and then that we will bootstrap and we will invest like zero money, only our time to just work and work and work until we get something out of it. And so that was like our belief, our philosophy when we launched Ajelix, that there will be no investors, because I've been working in the corporates, I've been working in larger companies, and I don't want to go back to the point where someone tells me what to do. And we also want to somewhat enjoy our life while we're doing this. I know this sounds like investors will be like red flag, the company is your work, your life, your everything. And it is, but we just want to do it on our own. Maybe it sounds foolish for definitely a lot of investors, right? But that's what we agreed on.
No, this is a safe space for bootstrappers. We've talked to a lot of people who make the same decision for a lot of the same reasons. And as soon as you take money from somebody, you work for somebody else. And I totally get that. And we also talk here sometimes about VCs trying to get too much performance out of the thing that they buy and then killing what would otherwise be a great mid-sized company.
That's very much true. And at some points during our journey, we were just struggling with the growth and everything. And we're just sitting there and we're just thinking that no money can solve this issue that we have right now. Because for a lot of time, we had this like value versus price, like this kind of positioning problem and the value problem, what we are actually delivering to the customer. And it just takes time until you get it right. And a lot of fail and errors. And so we were like, if an investor comes and invests in us, like, I don't know, like 1 million or something like that, nothing would change because we still need to fix the fundamentals. There's no point in throwing money into something that isn't stable at this point. At least that's our like philosophy.
No, I think that's super smart and super interesting. And I've been in that conundrum a couple times myself where it's like, well, if I had $1 million to do something with this business, I don't know what I would do with that money.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of founders might say that, bootstrapping does kind of limit your ceiling. You get to a certain point and you have to have the funding or whatever. But yeah, I'm with Justin on this one and you as well. So I know that you all are now like investing heavily in hardware. You're expanding in enterprise and you're doing that also without outside funding. So I'm just curious, and also I'm sure the audience is too, how do you make decisions differently because the money is yours instead of someone else's? Or do you make decisions differently?
Yeah. So a note here that, we're investing right now. And also as we are a European company, and if you know that in Europe, we have a lot of grants from the governments and from the European Commission. And so we actually joined an incubator like a couple of months ago that does give us some kind of money that we could invest further on. But it's like percentages. You still have to invest your own money to get something back from the government. And so I'm not sure if we're still considered bootstrapped, if you get some kind of like government grants, but we're still investing like loads of our money with the risk that they may not pay us back. And actually, we're right now learning how hard it is to trade your earned money and risking that you invest like several thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Then you're just sitting there and thinking, will it go off? Like, will we start everything from zero again? Because we just spent our entire profit. And actually, with every 1,000 that I send somewhere, I just learn so fast, like incredibly fast, because it's your own money, it's your own life. And we really rethink every decision that we make. We have a lot of Excel tables, of course, with the ROIs, when it will pay off. And look, every decision is really well thought of. And so it really changes you. I think you don't learn as fast when you have a dollar sign tied to it. And when it's your money that you're just spending, then you just learn 10 times faster than if there's no money at all.
Yeah, I'm imagining the pressure is high.
Yeah, it is. But it's also fun because you can't grow otherwise. Because what's the point of money sitting in a bank account if you don't use it to invest it and maybe grow further,
Yeah, I'm always, it's all the classic struggles, right? When do I take chips off the table versus how do I invest in my own business? And has where you're located been helpful, harmful, or maybe a mix in the terms of growing, obviously, a global business?
Yeah, it's a mix of everything, I would say. The bonus is that there's no competition in this region, but it's also a huge downside because people don't understand our business model. I know you're coming from the USA, you're just thinking like right now, like, how is that possible? Like, but when we go, for example, to grants or to government, they don't understand what we're doing because there's no product tied to it. And I would say that like this region in Europe is just falling behind a lot in terms of where the more developed countries are. So it's been both a downside because we have to do a lot of education and a lot of teaching to anyone what we're doing, what we're about. But then again, it's also this region is also emerging right now quite a lot. And we could be one of the first ones to build this ecosystem and to build this region. So then again, it's very beneficial because we're bringing in the knowledge from the USA. We're explaining about the newest technologies, and it's easier to stand out from the rest of the crowd and really make a difference here. So that's, again, a huge bonus. We have a lot of people, a lot of skilled, experienced professionals in this region that are quite cheap compared to the US and to like Central Europe. So that's also a huge benefit why large companies come also into this region. So it's kind of easy to hire in this region. But then again, you still have to invest a lot of knowledge because not always the education is up to standard and they have the experience on what is SaaS or what is like digital services. How does that work? Like marketing is like organizing events or putting billboards somewhere. It's like really, really rough from that point of view. But yeah, so it's like a lot of pros and a lot of cons in this region. But would I chose a different region? I would say no. But of course, it's my home, so I'm used to it.
That's fantastic. That's so interesting because you're marketing now, not just your organization and what it is that you all are building and offering, but you're also basically marketing your region, your area, to be more technically forward thinking or drawing people in. And I think that that's really admirable. That's very cool.
I think it's a mission of every small country like habitant to market their country to other like countries because we're such a small nation that we just have to speak about ourselves.
Absolutely. I think that's fantastic. And so now I'm super curious about your marketing budget, how you actually do divvy that up, how you invest your marketing. Like if you had like one marketing investment that maybe didn't cost anything, but you really got a lot of benefit from, or is it completely the opposite of that?
Yeah. So when we started, I didn't know anything about marketing. When I started, I was like in HR and in project management and admin and things like that. That was my background. So I had no like hard skills like on how to write a blog article, how to create a visual. So I learned all of that from scratch or how to build like a landing page. I didn't know anything about that. And so I just learned a lot. I just sat there like learn how to create a landing page, how to create visuals and everything. And so at the beginning, it was just me sitting in front of a computer at 2 a.m. at night and just trying to do something. And also when we founded Ajelix, as we were bootstrapped, we decided that we won't invest in paid marketing. So everything that we will get will be from the organic growth, from the SEO at that point, from partnerships, collaborations. Our vision was like that we would create like this content engine that our leads come to us. And so during the years, we have really cultivated this. Of course, when the profit came in, right, we were figuring out, maybe we should invest in paid marketing. It's such a nice channel, right? We invested. It didn't pay off, of course, because the subscription starts at $20 like per month. It's very low value for the paid marketing budget if you don't have the VCs or anything. So yeah, we lost a couple thousands on paid marketing. And then there were like a lot of like these gurus who said, no, you were just doing the wrong thing. Let me help you. I will make this work, and then it never works, and then you're again, like thinking, why did I invest in it? I could have like produced more articles or paid something kind of collaboration or something like that, it would bring more value. But we don't do also paid collaborations with the influencers because then again, it's a one-time swap and people see right through it. And so we are trying to make our brand appealing and interesting, that people would come to us and they would want to get insights or information from us for free or pro versus pro. So that's a story for marketing.
Yeah, there's always a guru who, for a little bit of money, can get you amazing results.
Everything.
Or at least they can tell you that they get you amazing results, get you to pay, and then your results may vary, it turns out. Well, we are coming up on the end of our time together here. What is a question or something we should have asked you about that we didn't, that we would be interesting to share?
Oh, I didn't expect this question, actually.
You can tell that you don't listen to enough episodes of our podcast, because that's the last question on almost every episode.
Justin's magic question.
Yeah, so I will do my homework next time. I guess I should have prepared better, I would say maybe about freemium. I don't know how relevant it is, but the freemium model itself, it sounds like such a great model, pricing structure to do. And actually, freemium was one of the things that we were struggling with the most. It actually also powered our growth in terms of users. But it's also a huge downside, because then you're just giving away something for free. And, you just get users that don't want to pay because it's freemium. It's free too, We can use a free AI for free every day, And so that's actually one of the things that we were, again, all the time just thinking through, like, should we leave the freemium here or should we go away from it? Of course, now we have free trial, we have downsized everything. We're just not giving anything away for free. We're trying to create this value. But if someone could have told me a little bit earlier, check your metrics, like who is paying, who isn't paying, pay attention to who your users are, then maybe we should have saved a lot of money on this.
Yeah, freemium can be expensive, and segmenting becomes super, super important to figure out who the different kinds of people are, and can you convert them, and are they going to grow? And yeah, it's a Here Be Dragons area. But yeah, awesome. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think it's really fabulous.
Absolutely. So we have been talking with Agnese Jaunošāne, and she is the co-founder and COO of Ajelix. Agnes, what is the best way for people to get in touch with you if they're interested?
Definitely LinkedIn. I post a lot of content on LinkedIn talking about our struggles, about where the industry is going, about AI. So definitely do get in touch with me through LinkedIn. I will be more than open to speak and chat with each and one of you.
Agnes also has a super awesome Substack, so check that out too.
Count on Justin to go dig it through Substack and Reddit. Justin, thank you, my friend. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely.
And thank you, everyone out there. And we'll catch you next time on SaaS That App. Thanks for cruising along with us on SaaS That App. We hope you grabbed some insights that were inspiring, actionable, or at least entertaining.
If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review.
Until next time, keep building, keep growing, and keep those apps sassy.